What's up, Tiger fans? It's Morgan and Allen here again with a top 5 players under the radar for the 2021 season. Another top 5 list. I know you love them, so we're making one for you. But before we get into our list, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of our exclusive Clemson content we bring out every single week. We love doing these videos. This is a top 5 video. We used to do these all the time, Al, when we first started some
Yep.
3 years ago. But now we're back. We're going to do this video, top 5 players that are under the radar for the 2021 season. 2021, man, it's crazy to say that that's the year we're in now. And we're past the spring game. So I've got down 5 guys, not in order in particular, like one better than the order, just 5 guys that I think are going to be under the radar and maybe pop up on ESPN once or twice throughout the season, maybe even get a headline or two.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 5, Nate Wiggins. I like to see what he could do in the spring game. I thought that he had almost an interception one time, and he jumped the route a couple times. I like that he was playing strong, and I think that in the secondary, it's a position where a freshman can get their chance quicker than maybe other positions. So I'd like to see what Nate Wiggins can do. And I was even more impressed by the spring game in the sense that this is a guy who hadn't been on the team very long, just joined in January, and now he's out there making himself known on television for sure. Another guy, number 4, is Trey Williams. This is a guy that you and I have done many videos on, played at a top level high school outside of DC, and he is just a massive guy. I went and looked. I think he's number 9 on defense. I was like, man, who is that guy? He is freaking huge. Oh, by the way, that's Trey Williams. Okay, this makes sense. They definitely have some huge guys on that defensive line to back up Brazee and Davis for sure. So looking forward to see what he can do this year. Then coming out the gate, we talked about him in our other video, but Kobe Pace, guy I wasn't really looking forward to see, honestly. I hate to say that, Mom, Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But I was really kind of, licking my chops to see Phil Maffa out there. But Kobe Pace definitely showed out a little bit, had some pretty good runs, cut to the outside, played strong. I'd like to see what he can do. I'm looking forward more to that. You and I, another guy, this is my second guy. My number 2 guy is R.J. Mickens. I think Clemson would do well with having some more depth in that secondary, maybe to rotate out, maybe some guys that might be a little bit more athletic out there. And so I want to see what he can do. I know Mickens came as a senior, had some injuries to deal with, so he's working through that. Hopefully now he is healthy, and he got an INT in this game. So I look to see what he can do in the fall now that he showed out a little bit in the spring game. And then number 1, I couldn't not have this guy as my number 1. Like even though I said I didn't really rank him, but Ajo, I think he did really great. Considering how far he has come from what kind of football he was playing in Canada to what he is doing now, considering how raw he was to where he is now, making catches all over the field, and becoming that go-to guy really for Pumachan before he got injured towards the end, but that was at the end of the game anyways. But definitely instrumental in getting 14 points for the white team. So number 11 showed up, showed out. That's my top 5. I have an honorable mention, but I'll hold it in. But Al, what are your positive, negative from my list, and then we'll get your list.
Okay, so I want to completely echo Wiggins. Okay, I thought he looked great in the spring game. The reason I don't have him on my list is because I still think he's at least a year in the weight room away from being able to really handle the college game. I say at least a year. I think a year will do it for him. I mean, you don't have to be huge at corner, but this guy, he looked physical. He jumped that play. I'm disappointed he didn't make the pick. You know how I am. I like it. If you get it in your hands, I want you to keep it there. But look, he looked great. I think he's going to be a star. I think he's a star in the making, a future high-round draft pick. And I love what I saw from him. And yes, I'm saying that from the first spring game. I love what I saw from this guy. I think he's got a lot of potential. As far as what I didn't agree with on your list, it's just the definition of under the radar. We talked about this. It's so difficult to decide what it means to be under the radar. Clemson recruits nothing but 4- and 5-star talent. It's very hard for anybody to be under the radar. and much less a Joe who just had like 100 catches for 6,000 yards in the spring game. Okay, he's no longer under the radar, Morgan. Okay, everybody knows who he is now. And Kobe Pace as well. If you've really been paying attention to what they've been saying in the offseason, or even what some of us have said on this show in the past, you should have known Kobe Pace was ready to break out and be one of the starters for this year. But other than that, I really love your list.
Poor Dale Gilbert. One of his times he said a Jew a Joe, and I was like, I don't think it's a Jew a Joe, Dale. I don't think it's a Jew a Joe. I think it's a Joe a Joe. We love him.
Definitely.
We love him. All right, so give me your list of 5, and I'll let you know what I think. I agree or disagree with.
Sure. And again, this is very, very difficult to define. But first, I got Sheridan Jones. These are not in any type of order. Sheridan Jones, even though he's got a lot of playing time, he's not one of the starters. He made a couple of good plays in the spring game. He always seems to have a nose for the football. He seems to be really physical. He had a chance to gain some ground on some of the guys because everybody stays injured in the cornerback room. Everybody's always injured. Now's the time to prove yourself. If you want some playing time, it's the time to show what you got. I think he could carve out a really good reserve role this year. So I have Sheridan Jones in there for one. Number 2, I have Greg Williams. Okay, I like some of the plays he made last year in his very limited time when he transitioned from linebacker to defensive end. Okay, I think he has pretty good size for that. I'm hoping with another year in the system, you can play a little faster, give us some depth for those games. Maybe in garbage time or something like that. I like to see those more local kids do good. Those under the radar types of 3 stars or the 2 stars or whatever it may be. I like to see them kind of blossom later on in their careers. Number 3, I have Rook Orororo. All right. He, I mean, he's not even a backup. He's a career backup or backup's backup. Okay. That's what he's been so far at Clemson. He proved last year that he's someone that the coaches can trust on the field. He got some action last year. We've talked about some players before whose light seemed to come on at the end of their career. Okay. We've talked about those type of guys before. Rook seems to be a good candidate to kind of put together a solid season. Again, he's going to be a backup, and that's okay because nobody, you're not passing Davis, you're not passing Brzee. Okay, but I think he's trusted by the coaches, and I think he can make some noise as a backup this year for us. And most of the guys I have on this list, of course, are backups. They're under the radar, right? It's what it's all about.
I want to
I
hear
also
the
have.
fans when he makes a sack
Oh God,
chant,
yeah.
a row, a row, a row.
They
You
got to
know,
come up with something creative, right?
some sort of chant with his name would be amazing.
Yeah, sure. At number 4 on my list, I have Dakari Collins. I picked the other Collins. A lot of people are talking about Bo Collins. He has the connection with DJ and everything like that. I'm picking Dakari. I thought he looked really good in the spring game. And Bo Collins did as well. Again, it was a nice touchdown. I like the way he fought for it, but I like Dakari's upside a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. But again, the Collins guys at wide receiver, I think we're in good shape with them. Last but not least, I have Jalen Phillips. Okay, we didn't hear his name called an awful lot, but I like the flashes I saw from him in the spring game. I've liked a flash or two here with that, in the past season. Maybe it's knowledge of the system. Maybe it's kind of the nuances of college ball. But I don't question his talent and athleticism. I wish he'd become a more consistent, guy and give us another option at safety, something like that in the backfield. I'd like to see him a little bit more. So I think Phillips is the way to go there.
I like that you said Phillips because that reminded me of Thornton. I think Thornton
Yep.
had a couple of plays in there that I was excited to see too. Jalen Lay, I know he's really kind of there because he's still kind of a third string guy, but man, he's so big. I
He
just
is.
feel like you got to get him out there somehow, just like a JoJo. Got to get those big bodies out there and just let them use their talent. Let them use their just size in certain situations where if you weren't born that big, you can't beat him. I mean, I just think you just got to cheat a little bit and put the big guys out there. Go with your tall group, that they do in basketball. Go with your tall lineup.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you got a jumbo package. Why don't you go with like the giant beanstalk package, or something like that, big giant dudes. But yeah, I think that's what you love about the spring game is just seeing these guys come out, make a name for themselves. Guys that ESPN doesn't know about yet, but hopefully will soon, that we've heard about. If you're a Clemson fan, you already know. So for diehard Clemson fans, maybe the spring game's not as exciting. We know what it is. We do know that Georgia is the first game on the schedule, so you got to be careful with what you put out there. And obviously, you don't want to get anybody hurt. And like you mentioned too, Al, you can only see so much when your quarterback can only get barely touched, and they call it a sack.
Yeah.
I think they got like 17,000 sacks this last Saturday, which is obviously not realistic. But
Right.
again, Love what I saw from the spring game, and we'll talk more about depth chart and things we think throughout the rest of the week, rest of the off season. Looking forward to what happens coming up this summer. Hey, let us know in the comments what you think about the spring game, if there's anything we missed or any player that we didn't highlight, and let us know if you'd like to see any other videos or give us some ideas. We'll throw out some videos for you because we're a fan-led show, and we want to make sure we get the content that you like. Also, don't forget to like to help with our algorithm, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our exclusive YouTube Clemson content that's out there. This video is brought to you by Black's Tire Inc. in Westminster, South Carolina. Family owned and operated since 1971. If you need new tires, brakes, alignments, tire repair, or just looking for a friendly professional to help answer your questions, stop by Black's Tire Inc. located 1415 East Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Give them a call, 864-647-9292.